All right. What's going on, everybody? I believe we are live. I am so angry. Let me make sure that the audio is okay, and then we'll get into it. I'm really excited for today's episode. I think that we're going to have a lot of fun right now. Sure that the audio is okay, and then we'll get into it. Okay, so the audio is good. What's going on? Welcome. Today, the MMA Uncensored crew has an interesting stream. Thankfully, I don't really need to I don't want to say do much because I do need to do something, right? Which is go through all of your hot takes. We asked you guys what are your hot MMA takes, and I am beyond pumped to get into them. I'm gonna apologize real quick. I know that the camera quality is not good, guys. I know that it's not good. My Elgato like HD 60 game capture thingy that I wire all the HDMI's and my Canon into is fucking just it's not working. I've been sitting here for like 15 minutes troubleshooting and like replugging everything in. And, I'm a lot of things, but tech support is not one of them, sadly. So I apologize for the subpar camera quality. It is a bummer. But today, it's the hot take time. So let's get right into it without further ado. I'm going to the comments on the Instagram post. There's an Instagram post that's just says, what's your hot takes? That's where all of these are going to be. We start off with from Joth Morris. He believes that Aspinall finishes Jones in under 2 rounds. I would almost say that that's a lukewarm take. I don't think that that's hot at all. I mean, Tom's in his prime. Tom's an absolute animal. I think that stylistically, it would be a big challenge for John, who is well-rounded and has some good wrestling, but that jiu-jitsu of Aspinall's is different, and the speed at heavyweight, I think, is a real issue. And John's 37, guys. John is not young, and he's got a torn pectoral muscle that's going to take 8 months to heal. So he's going to be, I think, 38 when he does return, if he does. You think he's going to be a prime Tom Aspinall? Nah, no chance. No chance. JN, you bring up an amazing point, actually. Yeah. USADA is going away. No USADA. Jones ain't no joke. I mean, hey, when USADA was around, it's not like that stopped Jones. It's not like he was ever like, oh, I shouldn't. That's illegal. He still did it. But that is fair. I know that they're doing drug testing. I'm waiting to hear a lot more about what the 2024 drug testing policy inside the UFC is going to look like because I think it still needs to be a sport where you can't take steroids and you can't juice up. Like, we need some regulation here. But I don't think that they've released too much information. And if they have, I'm not sure what it is. But in the event that Jones can steroid up, he has better odds, but I still think he gets blitzed through by Tommy A. I mean, what world does 38-year-old John Jones beat Tom Aspinall? It just doesn't happen. Prime for prime, dude, that's an amazing fight. I think Prime Jones versus Tom Aspinall, that's a real fun affair. But I just wouldn't be able to understand how 38-year-old John Jones could get the well-rounded Tommy A out of there. So not that hot to kick things off. Second, Alex Pereira is ahead of Israel Adesanya on the greatest of all time list. Let's talk. Now that's where it gets hot, baby. That's where it heats up. Alex Pereira above Israel Adesanya. Man, I don't know about that one. And feel free. I mean, this is a discussion-based one, so let's hear your opinions as well. I don't think so. I mean, capturing belts in 2 different weight classes is unreal. He is, I think, the 9th man to accomplish that task. And Adesanya, of course, would have been on that list, but came up short against Jan Blachowicz. Now, Izzy, I think, in my opinion, could still maybe get a 205 belt, especially if they run Alex Pereira, Israel Adesanya for a 4th time, and Izzy gets it done against him. You know what I mean? That would even it out, and I think that would catapult him above. But existing achievements, is Izzy greater? I mean, he was a middleweight champion for how many years? How many title defenses did he have? Arguably the number 2 or 3 greatest middleweight of all time, Israel Adesanya. I don't know if that's that's tricky, dude. That is tricky. I think it's incredible what Alex Pereira has done. I mean, he's beaten like 4 champions in 7 UFC fights or something crazy. I don't know exactly what the number is, but no, I still, yeah, I mean, Adesanya's got an amazing resume. I think that he is still just an inch ahead, greatest of all time. But Alex Pereira was a 2-weight glory champion as well. So are we talking just in UFC or maybe combat sports, period? I would say in the greater combat sports equation, I think Alex Pereira is ahead in greater combat sports conversation. Same with how Henry Cejudo, being an Olympic gold medalist, if we're talking about greater combat sports go and like the pound for pound outside of just mixed martial arts, I put Cejudo above a lot of people. But within the UFC, I think Izzy's just, a little bit ahead. Those title defenses mean a lot and against pretty serious competition. But I mean, hey, if Alex Pereira beats him again, maybe I'll have to change my tune. That's a hot one, though. I like that one. Let's see. Pains me to say this, but that knockout to Islam Makhachev will officially mark the beginning of Volk's decline, and he will lose his title to Ilia Topuria in a few short months. Guys, I don't know if that one's a hot take. I mean, Volk is 34, 35. I'm not sure. And it was a bad knockout. I mean, boy, that was a tough one to witness. And the quick turnaround is problematic, right? So I don't want to say I wouldn't be shocked if Volk drops the belt to Ilya. Because again, Topuria is an animal. Look what he did to Josh Emmett. Look how well-rounded he is. The finishes over guys like Jai Herbert, Damon Jackson, the Bryce Mitchell performance. Ilia Topuria is a true beast, and it does pain me that Alexander Volkanovski will probably not be 100%. It does. I don't think he should have accepted that short notice matchup. I think that it's a decision that he won't regret, but he will suffer longer lasting and unexpected consequences from. But is it the beginning of the decline? Right, guys? I mean, Volk is still a true problem at 145. This is up a weight class. This is off the couch. I think that hopefully what'll occur is Volk bounces back and that fight with Makhachev is viewed as the outlier, the externality, or not externality, excuse me, but just like it wasn't indicative or reflective of where he's at with his career, his quality. I truly think that it's going to be just, he came, saved the card. It didn't work out, but he still defended the featherweight throne another 4 times, right? I hope that that's what is going to occur. And I think that that's likely to happen, but I give it like 60-40. That's the down the middle split of Ilya could walk through him, and then we see Volkanovski have like a Henan Barrow type of downfall where it's like you're like, holy shit, this guy leaped right off the cliff. And there are a lot of parallels, right, guys? There are a decent amount of parallels. You got Henan Barrow, who was on a 32 fight win streak, number 1 pound for pound in the world, loses once, and then it just like all fell apart. So maybe we'll see that with Volkanovski. Here we go, JN. Is Volk the number 1 featherweight, or is it Jose Aldo? I like that question. Now, here is where my ignorance on the combat sports history and the many different eras does present itself. And I'll be very transparent and forward with it. I started watching in 2017, which is kind of right after a lot of Jose Aldo's success at 145, so I don't know if I can truthfully answer it. I'm just not as educated on Aldo's reign, the WEC days, the beginning of the featherweight division inside the UFC. I know that he had unreal performances. I've watched a couple of them back. The wins over Chad Mendes, the win over Cub Swanson, the super quick, I think it was a flying knee, like 8 seconds in. One moment. The fight with Uriah Faber where he turned Faber's leg purple, like that, those are real guys, you know what I'm saying? Those are real dogs that Aldo was just decimating. So I don't know, but then Holloway beats him twice or however many times it was, and then Volk just beats Holloway 3 times, beats everybody. We'll have to see, man. I mean, we'll have to see if Volkanovski bounces back. Because if he can bounce back, if he defends the belt a couple more times, then yeah, why not? You know what I mean? But Brian Ortega, let's go through it. So he beats Holloway for the belt, and the lead up to the Holloway fight, I mean, Volk beat Aldo. Hold on a second. I mean, he beat a pretty damn good version of Aldo. Let's not forget that. So that win, Chad Mendes TKOs him, gets Holloway done 3 times. Ortega. I'm trying to think who else. Korean Zombie was a title defense. I think so. Yeah. Maybe that's controversial. I would put Volk maybe above Aldo, just because the Holloway wins. I mean, having Max Holloway on your resume 3 times and all of them are green, that is pretty remarkable. That's pretty insane. I think the tougher question is who's better, Holloway or Aldo, maybe, right? If you would go, them for number 2 or number 3, that's another interesting question. Sorry, we're trying to me and some of the media guys. We're here for PFL Championships. Make sure you guys tune in. Of course, we've got a really cool PFL event going down this weekend, and we're trying to go to the hockey game, but we're having some issues with the ticketing. All right, let's get back to it. I like that question, JN. Excellent question. That's the vibe of today's stream. That's what we want. Here we go from Zach Pards. This is my guy Zach. McGregor duped the entire game and is mildly talented at best. He was the loudest anyone has ever been, and he dodged legitimate contender fights that could ruin his legacy outside of Khabib. That's a hot take. That's got some steam and mustard on it. Mildly talented at best. I disagree with that. That is a hot take. That does classify scorching, but I almost disagree with it. I mean, calling his shots and executing people like he was. That mildly talented, knocking out Chad Mendes like that, taking out Jose Aldo in the fashion that he did, the Dustin Poirier fight, getting him out of there in 90 seconds, the Holloway win. Hey, first of all, a lot of his wins have aged pretty damn well. Some of them didn't age all that great, you know what I mean? But Holloway, Aldo, and Poirier all went on to be seriously problematic for divisions and fighters and have so much success. So the fact that Conor was able to, in his prime when he was on the come up, get past them, I can't say mildly talented. Loudest anyone has ever been? Yes. I mean, sure. That guy was a constant machine of just different clips and different sound bites. The trash talk. He controlled the narrative. Chael Sonnen was pretty damn loud from what I have looked back into. I mean, look at any of Chael Sonnen's appearances on the Dan Le Batard show, and I would almost put Chael a rung or two above McGregor when it comes to trash talk. Undefeated, undisputed, the meanest arms in Westland, Oregon, in my opinion, is a bit better than Conor on the mic. That might be a hot take in itself. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, now we get to dodging legitimate contenders. Did he dodge legitimate contenders? Is that the question, right? Because who else? I mean, again, I guess I could pull it up and look into it. But when McGregor was on the come up from 2013 to 2016, who did he dodge? Who were the other competitors and other contenders that he didn't face before he got the title shot? I mean, he didn't defend the belts. That is a little bit, not great. But I can't remember. I don't know. I haven't heard that. That's something I haven't heard, is that he was dodging people. I mean, he accepted the Mendes fight on 2 weeks notice with a torn ACL or some shit like that. I don't know if that's dodging, but I like it. I like that heat. John Jones pulled out of his fight with Stipe in order to avoid USADA prior to their exit from the UFC. That's from Mike Davis. Okay, so they're thinking that we have a video of him tearing his pec, right? We have photographic evidence of John Jones ripping his pectoral muscle apart, unless that's maybe staged, right? Unless they did this whole, moon landing conspiracy vid of John Jones. They're acting it out. They're staging this pec tear. Maybe that seems like a lot of effort. I don't know. That's a hot take, but I don't know if I disagree, if I agree with it. Oh, my man Jaden Shuey. He's saying Ben the Bane Davis is the next John Anik. Nah, I mean, John's going to be around for a decent amount of time, and he is amazing, and he is far better than any combat sports play-by-play, and I hope to be half of what he is. McGregor would have been one of the all-time greats if he was active during his prime. That's a freezing cold take. That's a freezing cold take. There's no heat attached to that at all. I think we all have the understanding that, like, if this guy stuck around, defended the belts, then he would be in the conversation of, like, top 5 all time. You know what I'm saying? Because who was beating him? Who was fucking beating him? The performance. I mean, Diaz choked him out, of course. And it was a close rematch. But at 145 and at 155, with the destruction of Eddie Alvarez, I don't know. I mean, Khabib probably, like, the grapplers and the wrestlers at 155 would have given him some issues. But at 45, what big wrestlers were in the top 15 and had good runs at that point in time, right? I don't know if there were really strong grapplers at featherweight moving up and making noise in the division. So I just don't see who would have been able to beat him. Childish Grafino, Tom Aspinall beats Francis Ngannou. Ooh. No, I don't think so. That's a hot take. That is a hot take for sure. I just don't agree with that. I think Tom, I think Tom has a couple holes in the game, and the weakness is the chin in the air. I mean, his chin's very high. You saw Curtis Blades able to crack it several times in their fight. I mean, it was only a 15-second fight. There's not a lot you can extrapolate, but, like, Curtis was landing before the knee injury. And I think Francis Ngannou, with his power, would be able to find the chin and maybe put Tommy A away. I don't think Aspinall would be able to blitz through Francis Ngannou as easy. I think the power and the monstrosity of the Predator would nullify some of the wrestling. I think that Francis could muscle his way out of some spots. And when those hands connect, I mean, dude, nobody can really take those punches. 4 ounces from Ngannou? No chance. Screw Cassidy. Khamzat loses to several middleweights. Khamzat loses to, in my opinion, a decent amount of middleweights. Here's a hot take. I don't really see the current hype of Chimaev. It's getting a little bit weak. It's getting a little shaky, in my opinion. He had a strong back and forth with Gilbert Burns, who was a blown up lightweight nearing not the end of his career, but I mean, Burns is, I don't want to be too off. Gilbert Burns, he is 37, and that was last year. So he went the distance with a 36-year-old Gilbert Burns, who he had a lot of advantages over. And Usman, on like 10 days notice, up a weight class, was able to give him the business. And if that was a 5-rounder, which, I mean, it was offered, and Usman, was kicking himself that he didn't accept the full 25 versus the 15, I think Usman would have beaten him. Chimaev's got the gas tank problems. Chimaev's got the, lack of presence, I would say, in the second and third rounds that he does in the first. He's a real issue in the first 5, and I'm not taking it away. He's a great fighter, but rounds 2 and 3, I mean, if you're able to get through it, like, think about a Marvin Vettori. Like, if Marvin Vettori can nullify the grappling and keep it standing as the fight progresses and just put the pace on Khamzat Chimaev, I think Vettori could definitely beat him. Paulo Costa, I want to see that fight so badly. I mean, if he can't get Costa to the ground, yikes, fucking yikes, my guy. And I understand that Paolo's coming off of a weird performance against Luke Rockhold, but the way that Costa has been able to rip to the body on some of these guys. I mean, you remember the fight with Uriah Hall? Paulo Costa just tore up his midsection. I think that Paulo would probably beat Khamzat Chimaev. Roman Dolidze. I mean, Dolidze is an excellent grappler and has some serious heavy hands. And Dolidze's got his own gas tank problems. In my opinion, you look at the fight with Vettori, he was butchering him in the first round and then just couldn't, continue the pace. But I think Dolidze would probably be an issue for Chimaev. So, that's the question. Is 185 really the smartest place for Khamzat? Because you think about welterweight, Leon Edwards versus Chimaev, I think I would probably take Khamzat, with his grappling upside. But listen, you can't make weight. You can't play in the sandbox, JN here, this is interesting question. Not trying to be a hater, but I don't see any appeal in the PFL. I hate season playoff concepts. I'm glad they got Bellator, which actually has a lot of decent champs who will wipe the floor with PFL. Hot take, baby. Hot take time. That's the point of the stream. I feel like, here's the thing. I feel like this might be a concept that we roll with for these live streams moving forward. I think breaking down some hot takes every time wouldn't be a bad move. Just in an anecdotal side note thing, but I can, I don't know. I mean, like, I love the PFL, and I've got obviously my connection, like my bias almost, because they've treated me really well, and so many people here are friends of mine, and they just run a really solid ship. The way that they treat the athletes is amazing. They really care deeply about who's on the roster, and provide for them. I think that it's sometimes challenging for promotions to really prioritize fighters. I've seen it on the regional scene a number of times. Fighters' needs and what they want it's not in the top 5 priorities. You know what I'm saying? But PFL, they have always been so focused on giving the athletes what they deserve that, that moves a lot of my opinion. And I like the season format. I think it's interesting. I think it's different. So many copycat UFC organizations out there, and it's nothing against them. I mean, it's the standard traditional. We've got a fight card, we've got 12 fights, and we're just going to boom, 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 progress through it. And that's that. And then we'll see what happens with the rankings or the matchups next. I like the season format. I think it gives narrative potential. Here's the way that I look at it. As a play-by-play commentator, the season format gives me just rich stories. It's just rich, like narratives that I get to develop. Look at Jesus Pinedo, the kid fighting for the 145-pound championship and $1 million. He came out of fucking nowhere. I mean, this guy beat Brendan Loughnane, who was a former 2-time champ, Bubba Jenkins, who was a challenger, a finalist many times, and TKOs them both. I mean, it's unbelievably impressive what Jesus Pinedo's been able to accomplish, and that narrative wouldn't exist without the season format. It wouldn't exist without this type of point structuring that we have. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's a couple areas of potential. I don't want to say improvement necessarily, but like things that I would like to see, I suppose. And stuff that I don't know if it works as well. Like the smart cage is an interesting concept, but you talk about like the miles per hour on punches and kicks and things like that. As a player, I'm like, I don't know how much I would use that information. Like, I mean, it'd be funny to be like, oh, this is the fastest punch thrown of the night. Like, that's cool. But things like that, little details where I'm like, that's interesting. But overall, I mean, I like it. I really, there's nothing bad I can say. There's just like small things, but there's really nothing bad. I think it's great. And the Bellator acquisition and what they're going to do with the fighters is unique. It's interesting. I think it's a cool time for mixed martial arts. And while, the UFC is still head and shoulders and they're the big dog, I mean, PFL's shaking it up. You're dumb if you don't think PFL's shaking it up and trying, you know what I mean? They're making efforts. They're making moves. They're platforming a lot of athletes and signing talent. Cedric Doumbé, the Lazy King, guys that, hey, they could be UFC champs, right? They have that star power and ability, but they're here with the PFL. Why is that? You know what I mean? You gotta kind of answer your own questions sometimes. But yeah, I like it. I think 2024 is going to be a cool year for PFL. I'll say this. I feel this is actually, it's not bad. It's not even negative, really. I just think the price point is a little too high on the pay-per-view. I think $50 for the pay-per-view is it's a little much. And I think last year ESPN put out that they were like happy with the reception and the pay-per-view sales. And if they have a number and they're tracking it and hitting it, great, good for them and no worries. But I think like half, $25, and a lot more people would maybe buy in. But at the same time, like maybe they've got a different set of priorities, I think last year I was trying to mention to people like, hey, do like a Black Friday sale or some like Thanksgiving half off incentivization, which I think that would be cool to see. I think that would be a smart marketing angle is, hey, get it for a discount. But I don't know. I mean, I like it. All right, let's see. Okay, there's the Aspinall one. I keep seeing a couple. What's going on with my phone? I keep seeing the same couple comments. Here we go. Bo Nickal ragdolls Chimaev. I don't know about that. I don't know about Bo Nickal ragdolling Chimaev. I think Bo Nickal he's a deeply talented wrestler. He is really a good grappler. But Jamie Pickett was able to like nullify some of those takedowns, from what I recall. Right? I wasn't able to watch it because I was working a show that night. But Pickett, the takedown that led to the finish, wasn't it like off of a low blow or some glove? Like there was a little bit of a controversial moment that led to Pickett going down and whatnot. So I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see with Bo Nickal. I think there's still more development that needs to be had. He's coming off of a really excellent victory over Val Woodburn, I believe was the guy's name. But again, that was short notice. That was against a UFC debut, a debutant. So Bo versus some ranked competition. Let's see it and then evaluate from there. I would be so down for Chimaev in the future. I mean, boy, that's an exciting matchup, and the scrambles that we would see, the technical grappling and wrestling, like that gets me excited. But he's got to get to the top first. I mean, he's fighting guys that aren't making noise in the division. No offense to them. I think that's the matchmaking that he needs. He's still developing as a mixed martial artist. So I don't know. I'm always in favor of not rushing guys. This is my hot take. I don't like rushing guys. I don't like putting them in positions where they're not going to have some success, or they're too green maybe. Like, I think slow play is fine. You get to really watch the development. You get to see the tangible changes. Like, I'm all in favor of giving Bo Nickal 2024, 3 or 4, good fights. And then maybe at the end of the year, a top 15, here's one. Prime Carlos Condit would murder Leon Edwards and the top 5 today in 170. Interesting. NBK, Natural Born Killer, would murder Leon Edwards. I'm again, like, I feel bad because I'm not as familiar with Condit's career. I watched the GSP fight and thought that was great. The Robbie Lawler fight as well. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Tell me, you guys let me know if that's a hot take. Tony's run was impressive, but his lack to adjust and change is the reason why he's on a losing skid. I don't know about that. I mean, I think Tony Ferguson has beaten Tony Ferguson more than anyone else. He's had some events outside of the cage that I think have really impacted his mentality. I think, we got to remember his losing streak consists of like the best people. Like if you look up, and maybe not like right now, of course, but right when that streak was starting of L's, it was to guys like Charles Oliveira. It was to guys like Beneil Dariush. It was Justin Gaethje. It's Michael Chandler. Like, those guys are still in the top 5. So he's on a 6-fight skid. 4 of those are top 5 lightweights. And then, the Diaz fight was a bit perplexing. And the Bobby Green fight was, I not the greatest showing. But again, I mean, he made it to the 3rd. He knocked Bobby Green down. It was, it was a competitive, and he was there with Diaz. It was the 4th round. And, admittedly, I didn't love the Nate Diaz fight from Ferguson, and that's where it really looked like maybe the age or the lack of results was starting to affect him. But I don't know. I mean, 4 of his 6 losses are to people in the top 5 right now. So how much can you hate it, I suppose? CM Punk versus Artem Lobov would do better pay-per-view numbers than any title fight in the women's bantamweight division. I mean, hey, and JN. I mean, JN's talking about the bantamweight division right here as well. Sacrifice the 135ers and pursue atom weights. I'm thinking, okay, you don't even need to sacrifice the 35 division. Just add 115. Just fucking add it. It's about time. Those 115ers at Invicta, get after it. I mean, the atom weights are here to throw down and just swing and bang. And I fucking love watching atom weights. So I don't even think you need to eliminate a division. I think you should hopefully the featherweight division is done, right? Like they don't even have fucking rankings for that. So, I mean, if you're going to eliminate something, sadly, it'd have to be the 145ers. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know if the UFC really needs the women's featherweight division, because with PFL and Bellator, they've got the women's featherweight division. I think they have women's lightweight too, right? Yeah. I should know this. It's just a blank in my brain right now. But the larger divisions, PFL and Bellator they've got it. UFC, I don't know if you need women's featherweight. Just doesn't make noise without Amanda Nunes. But I don't know. I mean, the bantamweight division. Okay, let's get back to it. CM Punk versus Artem Lobov would do better than a lot of pay-per-views, in my opinion. I would tune in. I would watch that. Punk versus Lobov. It'd be hilarious. I think that sells better than, dare I say, maybe like a flyweight title fight. Wild take, maybe, but Punk versus Lobov, they can make like a dumb belt for it. I mean, why not? Let's see. Jamal Hill can beat anyone at 205. That is hot. That's a spicy take. It's a spicy one. Let me yank up the light heavyweight rankings right now, UFC rankings, and we'll see. So Sweet Dreams Jamal Hill he's so talented. He's a really talented fighter. And it's not that I disagree, but I would be curious for how Jamal Hill would do against a Magomed Ankalaev or an Alexander Rakic, guys that will push the pace and really grapple him. I mean, you remember the Paul Craig fight, which is, I don't want to say irrelevant now, but it's been some years, and I think he's developed a lot of his technique past what that fight contained. So I don't know, but Jamal's boxing is excellent. Him versus Yuri Prochazka, I think he knocked Yuri out. You put Jamal against Alex Pereira, I think he's got a good shot. You know what I mean? That power at 205, and Jamal will connect. Jamal will crack him. I think that's an even matchup. I would lean Pereira, in my opinion, but I like the Jamal chances. Jamal versus Jan Blachowicz, beats him. Jamal versus Nikita Krylov, beats him. He's already beaten Walker. I don't see anyone outside of Ankalaev and Rakic that would give Jamal Hill problems. I think Alex Pereira would beat him, but some serious stylistic challenge. I think there's only two guys. And so I agree. I think Jamal Hill can beat anyone at 205. Well, I mean, hold on a second. That's a dumb hot take. Jamal Hill can beat anyone at 205. Yeah, and I can be on the moon. I can fucking be an astronaut. You can't you can't queue up the hot take with he can do this. No, that's not a take. That's not a hot take. You're not making a take. You're just saying, that somebody can do something. The hot take would be Jamal Hill beats everyone at 205. That's your hot take, but you have fucked it up. Silva versus Adesanya did not live up to the hype at all. That's an interesting one. Israel Adesanya and Anderson Silva, they fought, I think, in 2019. Again, it was the twilight of Silva's career. I wasn't overall blown away. I mean, it was more of a chess match. It was more of a lower volume kickboxing affair. But I think it had a couple cool moments. I think just watching the literal passing of the guard, those two inside the octagon, I was fine with it. I mean, yes, it wasn't a firefight. It wasn't this back and forth, but it was a really cool moment. And especially for the middleweight division. I mean, it was unreal. I haven't seen a matchup that has those same vibes since. And I'm not too unhappy with it. Anderson didn't get put out, or he didn't look silly, and Adesanya beat him decisively, So I thought everybody won from that one, and obviously their moment afterwards was just really powerful. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it didn't live up to the hype in an action sense, but it certainly lived up to the hype in like a sentimental, what I wanted out of the matchup. Here we go. From Rodrigo, Dillon Danis would actually sell a lot of pay-per-views in the UFC. Yeah, not anymore, Rodrigo. I disagree with that. I think Dillon Danis is such a fucking clown. And I don't think that he would be selling a whole heck of a lot. After that performance against Logan Paul, I don't know if Dillon Danis could, sell water to a fish, right? That's the thing. He's great at talking. I guess he's good at, posting photoshopped images of people's girlfriends. It's not really trash talk, in my opinion. I don't categorize it like that. It's just you being a troll. But no, I mean, I don't think that he would sell some like crazy groundbreaking amount of pay-per-views. I think he could probably do, if Dillon Danis headlined a pay-per-view, it would depend on the opponent. I think the matchup would have to be a good one. And I would say it would do less than 350. I'd say less than 400,000. And that's I mean, if he went in there and sold 300,000 pay-per-views, I mean, that's not horrible, especially with how the revenue model is dying and it's a horrible system. 300 would be fine, but I wouldn't see him selling north of 500. Not at that price point and not after that performance. Hey, what's going on, Allie? I hope you're having a great night. Welcome. We have got another, I would say, 10-ish minutes of this stream because I do have to bounce and get ready for this hockey game. But I'm liking this so far. I'm liking these hot takes. Some of them aren't too hot, admittedly. But I am enjoying it. Okay, let's see. Nick Diaz is the greatest welterweight of all time. I mean, hot take, I think just wrong, right? Just not, it's just objectively not true. He's an amazing welterweight and his prime was fantastic. And it's really a shame that he wasn't able to compete and be as active as much as he should have been. That whole marijuana suspension for years and years and years is stupid. It's beyond stupid. I mean, again, like that was a while before I got into mixed martial arts, but you look back on it, and especially with how Nate Diaz is, not even just Nate, how they're cherished. I mean, the Diaz brothers are cherished today, and I think Nick, if they let him be as active as he should have been, maybe could have been the greatest of all time. Max beats Justin. Oh, here we go from Tiernan. Max Holloway beats Justin Gaethje. That's the hot take, and it's got a little steam on it. That's been cooking on the back burner, in my opinion, in terms of heat level. I don't know. I think that Justin Gaethje is a really evolved product right now. His striking is different. It's not as rudimentary, and we've said this for a couple years now, right? But I think Holloway at 155 against Justin Gaethje, I think he gets knocked down. I think Max Holloway finally is TKO'd because Gaethje hits too hard. I mean, he's a truck in there, and Holloway he's taking some more. I mean, well, he's the number one most absorbed strikes in UFC history. Like he's absorbed more strikes than anyone else. Eventually, it's gonna catch up to him, I think. Maybe not. Maybe it'll never catch up to Holloway and he'll never get put out. But coming off of the win over Dustin Poirier, especially in that fashion, I think Gaethje KOs. I think Justin Gaethje could knock out anybody on the planet, any weight class. I think the hands that Justin Gaethje have could knock out anybody. There's some fucking bell going on right now. I'm not sure why. Khamzat doesn't beat any champ right now. This is from Only Parka. I think that Khamzat Chimaev could beat Leon Edwards. I don't think that Chimaev could beat how am I forgetting? Oh, Sean Strickland. Yeah. How did I forget that Strickland was the champ? Yeah, I don't think he beats Sean. I think Sean's would be able to shut him down in the grappling department, and the pace that Strickland puts is unreal. I mean, Sean Strickland would just walk him down and kill him. If Colby wins, the fight to make is Strickland versus Colby. If Strickland gets one against Dricus du Plessis, I hate champ fights, but I want this one. I don't think so at all. I don't think so at all. If Colby wins, he needs to fight Bilal Muhammad. If Leon wins, he needs to fight Bilal Muhammad. There is no other contender that deserves a shot. There is nobody, in my opinion, like it's unreal. I get that y'all dislike Bilal Muhammad, and when you criticize the fight style and how he approaches matchups, whatever. Maybe it's not your cup of tea, but the guy is undeniable, in my opinion, at 170. The win streak he's on over the people that he has beaten, it's criminal that Colby's even getting the shot. Just my take. It's really stupid that Colby Covington is fighting for a title in 2023 after doing really nothing over the last couple years. I mean, wins over Tyron Woodley and fucking who else? Jorge Masvidal? Are you kidding me? Really? and the losses to Usman. Your biggest moments are losses, buddy. Bilal is on like a 10-fight unbeaten streak. And there's the history with the first matchup with Leon. And look, it wasn't really going Bilal's way in that first fight with Leon, but there is no one that you can count out like less than Bilal. Like, this guy knows how to push and win and come back. And he's undeniable. I don't want to see Colby do anything other than fight Bilal. I don't want to see Leon do anything other than fight Bilal after their pay-per-view. Patchy Mix beats Umar Nurmagomedov. Patchy is, I mean, geez, I don't even know if it's a hot take to say he's one of the best bantamweights in the world. I think Patchy Mix versus Sean Strickland, or not Sean O'Malley. I've still got Strickland on my mind. I think Sean O'Malley versus Patchy Mix. I feel like I'd favor Patchy in that one. You know what I mean? Let's see. Cyril Gane finishes Tom Aspinall. That's a hot take. I don't agree with that at all. I don't know what Cyril Gane could do to Tom Aspinall. I think Aspinall would probably blitz right through him. I think it would look like the John Jones fight. I think Tom would get Cyril out of there relatively quick. All right, I think that is going to be all the time that we have today. A little bit of a quicker one, but we'll do this again. I mean, I've got 400 responses, so we will go to another hot take stream at some point in time. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know we don't have UFC this weekend, but make sure you watch PFL, and we'll be back on hopefully Sunday or Monday. Again, I've been all over the place. I apologize that this is on Wednesday. I fucking lost track of time. I've just been everywhere. But I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will be back at it this weekend. Have a good one.